let's talk about improving your conversion rate consistently every single time and know that you are right in your decisions. I'm going to dive into how you will be able to do that by A/B testing every single thing you implement on your website. So without further ado, let's dive in here. I actually have my screen pulled up, as you can see, and we are inside the testing prioritization system, which you know from previous videos. And in here, we have 3 examples of things we could test right now. And we might get an uplift, right? That's what we're hoping for. But if we're not testing it, then it's very difficult to segment that data and understand what it does. Because if you go into your Shopify Analytics and you look at your overall conversion rate, it may be up still, even if we implemented those 3 things and some of them didn't improve your conversion rate because of outside factors. And so we actually want to be right every single time. And honestly, this is the difference between good and great e-commerce businesses. It is when you are consistent, you're data-driven, and you don't allow your emotions or your gut feeling to dictate what you actually implement into your store. So right here, we can see that I've added in a new column. In column B here, it says results, and there's a question mark for all 3 solutions, right? And that's because after we implement it, we just don't know what results we're getting. And it's very difficult to find out. And let's imagine a scenario where we have the results. We A/B tested it. And in this specific, very simple exercise, we got a 12% uptick in conversion rate on the first test, and we got a 5% uptick on the next one, and we got a 16% drop on the final one. This is just for simplification, but in this case, they even each other out. Like we got a 16% uplift and we got a 16% drop, meaning we basically got no uplift. Now, I know this is super simplified and there's a lot of nuances to this. Also, for example, your conversion rate may drop on a specific product page, but it might not be affecting all other product pages. So there's some nuances that we didn't account for here. Let's just say that we even out after 3 different implementations. You wouldn't know about it unless you tested it, because that's just the nature of implementing without testing. And I would say that most ecom businesses, they never test things. They implement, you usually see a CMO, a founder, an ecom manager. They have a lot of great ideas. But the problem and why they're struggling, why their ROAS is never great, why they don't see a linear curve of growth, is because someone is driving change through gut feeling and through their own sort of personality and so on. So we can combat that by testing it. And that is what I will give you an introduction to right now. Now, that's a huge subject on its own, and we won't be able to cover everything, but I'll give you what you need to know for now in order to get started. First of all, Google used to have a great product called Google Optimize where you could test for free, right? They still have it, but it's basically being taken down. They're not going to have it in the future. It's going to be rolled into a different product, and it's not going to be free anymore. So you may be able to get away with this for a little while, but otherwise there are a lot of great testing tools that will cost you a little bit of money, but it's not the end of the world. And I know it's going to give you such a massive return on your investment that you will want to actually pay a little bit of money for it. Now, the tool that we love the most, just because we tested a lot of them and we've seen what they can do, is Convert.com. We use it for all our clients within Purple Fire. We have hundreds of tests running at any given time. And it's just a really easy solution for a lot of businesses. There's not a lot of fluff, and they're really focused on testing and not other things. You have other companies like BWO, which can do a lot of other things, but it's a lot of fluff as well that you don't really need. So let's say you signed up, and you can use any service, but let's say you signed up for Convert.com. Then you would get into their project list, and you would start setting things up, right? This is one of many accounts that we have. We usually like to divide it up, but for this account, I think we have like 22 clients or whatever in here. once you're up and running, you will be asked to name your project, right? And you can name it anything you want, but you usually will name it the name of your website, right? And you'll add in your product URL, which again would be your website. So let's, for these purposes, add in Purple Fire. And then you can put in data anonymization and all these other things, which is ticked off by default. Usually that's the right way to go. Respect, do not track browser settings. We usually set it to off, but sometimes you will want to set it for EU only because of the strict requirements that EU has. So that's up to you. Start project, and you're up and running. Basically, what we can do in here is we can A/B test all these different improvements we're making to our store, all these design changes we're making to our store, and make sure we get it right every time. So you go in here, you click Add New Experience, and then you add in the type of test. So let's say I'm testing new product page design. So go write that product page design, product selector area, like it might be that, whatever. You use a great naming convention. You might want to add in the date, you might want to add other stuff like that, but you can do whatever you want here, really. Enter your experience URL, so then you would add in the actual product page you're testing on. So for example, we might have a product page, let's just call it conversion rate optimization, and that would be your product URL, right? You can have saved locations, new location, all that stuff, because you might have worked with it before. And you can do lots of different tests. You know, there's a traditional A/B test. There's split URL, there's multivariate, and so on. I'm not going to go super deep into all these different things because it's gonna overcomplicate things for you. And I don't want to do that because that's how people don't take action. They're just overwhelmed and they're just not doing anything, right? So you can do an A/B test, which is what you'll use most of the time. But also, this is a really cool hack. Let's say you get a win and you can see a nice uplift. You could deploy the tests inside of Convert, and it will run to 100% of your traffic. And you can have it run like that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you might want to do, until your coders are ready to take that design that was running inside of our testing tool and hard code it onto your website. So that's a nice little trick. We do that all the time because clients don't have capacity to develop the new design, so we deploy it. So at least they're getting the uplift while we're waiting for them to hard code it onto their website. So that's pretty cool. Once we're up and running here, we can see that I will see my product page, which happens to be our conversion rate optimization page. And actually they built sort of an element builder where you can drag and drop and you can change different things on your website and so on. So that's pretty cool. I can also add in I can look and preview everything. So everything is nice. So look at this. It understands the code. That's why I was sort of scrolling down. It was sort of analyzing all the code. And now that it analyzed it, I can go up here and I can change anything I want in terms of copy images and run an A/B test just without having to even code anything, which is amazing. So that means you can really get started fast. So let's say we wanted to split test our sort of copy up here. We could say, okay, I'm going to remove award-winning, and I'm just going to write conversion rate optimization agency, and that's the only change I will make, right? Like, I know that's super simplified, but I could also say, you know what? That's one element I want to change, and I'm also going to be deleting some of this text because it's just way too much text, and my test is going to be about keeping less text on the website so that maybe people are less overwhelmed, and so on and so on. So that can be kind of cool as well. So you can basically change anything. You could also change the size, or you can change where it actually is located. So for example, I might want to add it down here. I could make space for it and add it down here. It's really a drag and drop feel for a lot of businesses, and I could also it could appear differently. I could align it differently. You could really do whatever you want in here. So that's just to show you that you can use their drag and drop module to redesign everywhere on your page, and that usually is pretty awesome. Besides that, you can go a different route when it comes to editing. You could use the HTML, which is kind of nice, to go in and code different things. You could add images. You could you can do different background checks and so on. You could also say, you know what, I'm going to track the button to see how many people schedule a call, because this is not an e-commerce site. This is a schedule a call. So I could create a custom conversion. If somebody clicks that, I want that to be a conversion. So you can go under click tracking and set up new goals for your business just based on that. And that can be quite helpful when you're testing things. You know, it could be like schedule a call, and I could track specifically that on the page, which makes a lot of sense. On some pages you don't have e-commerce experiences, so that would be something else that needed to be fixed, right? So I think I could mark it up, and I could set everything up, and then basically every time somebody clicks it, that will be a one conversion, right? So that's pretty cool as well. Besides going in here and editing things into the element builder, I wanted to show you a few other things as well. First of all, you will want to name your variation up here, so that's pretty easy. And you also want to make sure that once you get in here, which is the step after you sort of come up with your variation, so you got your original and you got your variation, you want to make sure you got your location set. You want to make sure that you have your audience set. So inside of filters and new audiences, you can go in and you can actually filter based on the traffic you're getting. So you could filter and say, I only want to look at Google traffic, or I only want to look at traffic from a certain country. And if you're an e-commerce store with lots of traffic from multiple countries, you could split test and say, I'm only going to look at traffic for specific countries for this test. Or you could say state, basically, if you're in the US. But a little hack that we also use for a lot of our clients is that we are basically going to segment the traffic a little bit so that we can test more things at once. So we might say we are only going to test their Google traffic, or we are only going to test their social media traffic. And that way, if they're running a lot of traffic from multiple paid media sources, we can test multiple things at once. So that's quite helpful as well. And that's something you want to make sure you set up as well. In this case, we're just running it to all visitors, which is what you'll do most of the time. And then we're going to do a 50-50 split. But you could also do a multivariant ABC test. So you could run to the original page and then 2 different variants. And that allows you to also get more done right away if you want to test more things at once. And then 33% of the traffic would potentially run to each variant. So that's pretty cool too. There are also goals in here, and that's really important because out of the box, Convert.com doesn't give you the goals that make a lot of sense for e-commerce businesses. So you want to pick the revenue goal, and you want to make sure you've hooked up GA, and you want to make sure to click manual revenue tracking, and then you want to add the script onto your site on the pages that allows for conversion to happen. So let's say that it's your thank you page, which it typically is. Then on the thank you page, you will want to load this convert script, and we want to make sure that it fires, because then it understands that now a conversion happened. So let's say you have a Shopify store, and every time somebody buys something, that's a sale, that's a conversion. So you'll add it on your thank you page, and inside of Shopify, it's pretty easy to find your thank you page and add this code in there. And once you have done that, you can write in and you can call it conversion, sale, whatever, and that is your conversion goal. And let's say I added in the script, I can save it in here. And now I can add in a new goal called conversion sale, which is not the standard in Convert.com, but is what you'll want. And you could also add in other things. So you could add in a JavaScript trigger goal, and we could call this add to cart. So that would be another goal that would be important that you will want to fire when somebody adds to cart. So that's something you need as well. So those are the 2 things we work with a lot. And sometimes if the store has other important things, like let's say a homepage banner that we really want to get people to click on so they go further into the funnel and so on, we might add in custom goals like that. But it's super intuitive. Just follow the guidelines and you will be able to get it done. And now we can see we have more goals down here, which is really, really important. And you will want to make sure you integrate with Google Analytics. That's the next thing. And you will want to make sure you integrate with Hotjar, which is a session recording software you use to actually see what people are doing in your experiments. So that's for a different video, but That's what we do for our clients as well. So once you're all that set up and go, you can see your tests, and you will be able to see in reports how many conversions you're getting and so on and so on. Obviously, we don't have any traffic yet, but once everything is set up, you'll be able to see how many people are actually clicking and how many conversions you're getting and so on and so on. So that will all be set up correctly once you have the code set up. And I could even say, you know what, I don't care about this goal, I don't care about this goal, I'm an e-commerce business, so I might save it and also filter it out, just to keep it a little bit more tailored, right? And I might say, you know what, conversion rate sale is my main goal, so I'm gonna set it like that. So that's another thing that you might want to consider too. But anyway, guys, this was quite a long video, but that's how you set up an A/B test inside of something like Convert.com. I know I didn't give you all the specifics, but I gave you an introduction, and that's how you want to set up a test. And once you set it up, you just click start, and it will start testing all the traffic. And that way, every single one of your conversion implementations or ideas is going to be measured, and you can make sure that if it's a drop, you delete it, you don't implement it, and you only implement the upticks. And guys, that's the secret to getting massive conversion rate, really, really, really high, that actually gets you to the next level. So anyway, if you have any questions, please comment below. I'll be happy to help you out. There will be more content coming out, sort of more like a step-by-step on how to set up on Convert. But follow this principle, and you're going to do super, super well with your e-commerce store.